To talk about vomit. So if you don't want to hear about vomit, you might go elsewhere, because this is going to be absolutely disgusting. But it makes a point about where healing really comes from. My name is Dr. Visentin. I run a miracle healing center in East Denver. And I want to talk about how symptoms are actually the body's way of healing, and that there are forces inside of you that are constantly at work to keep you well. And sometimes we don't like it, and sometimes we think it's disgusting. But really, those forces are there to help you. Your symptoms like vomiting, like fever, are there to get you well. And I'll talk about how that happens and invite you to visit a doctor of chiropractic who can work with that something inside of you, that something that's everything, those forces that keep us well. I was on a plane about 2 weeks ago, and I'd eaten some bad food, and I kept feeling worse and worse. And I sat in my seat, and I wanted to get back to Denver so that I could practice and do my thing as a chiropractor. And I kept getting sicker. In fact, the stewardess came by, and she says, "You don't look very good." And I said, "Well, I'm perfectly okay," because we were about to fly over the ocean. And I didn't want her to boot me off the plane, fearing that I wouldn't make the flight. So she went on to other passengers, and I just kept getting sicker. And I started to run a fever, and I had chills, and I really felt terrible. And suddenly my ears started ringing, and I actually passed out. I lost consciousness. I was out for a while. And while I was out, I threw up all that bad food. I'd eaten some really bad fish, and I threw it up all over myself. And the next thing I heard was my wife screaming, "Are you okay? Do you know what you just did?" And I came back into consciousness, and I was covered with vomit. And I felt great. I felt wonderful. I got rid of all that lousy food, and I started to feel better. I don't know if you've ever had that experience where you eat something wrong or you drink the wrong thing, and then when you get rid of it, you feel a lot better. Well, my wife was very embarrassed, and I looked around the plane, and everyone was looking at me, and they were wondering what was going on, and I was stinking up the whole plane. So it was like it was going to be a 6-hour flight sitting in vomit virtually. And the captain came up to me and he said, "Are you going to be okay? Because we're about to fly over water. Are you going to make the flight?" I said, "I never felt better in my life. I feel phenomenal. I feel great now." So what had happened? The body, sensing that there was something wrong, threw out the food that I'd eaten, everything I drank, and it was all over me. But that was a good thing. Had I taken medication to hide the symptoms, to perhaps suppress that response, I wouldn't have gotten well. It would have driven the poisons deeper. You might decide today to see a doctor who can work with the miracle healing systems inside of all of us. The systems working 24/7 inside of you to heal you, to keep you healthy. And those symptoms that you might be experiencing, whether it's back pain or neck pain or even vomiting and fever, are there for a reason. It's there to help you get well. And it doesn't always seem that way, but the body's always working hard to keep us healthy. And you need a way to be and stay healthy over a lifetime without drugs and without surgery, because drugs all have side effects, and surgery is always dangerous. The best way is to work with the body's inborn healing system. So I'm going to urge you right now to visit a doctor of chiropractic and watch out for bad food.